Good morning. All right. So let us begin. So good morning, everybody. I'm Stephanie Giorgio. I am your events manager at the Mississauga Board of Trade. It's a great pleasure to have you joining us this morning for our webinar on the happy organization, important or not. So the happy organization is all about developing inspired employees, having a delighted customer, and having an innovative process. So before we get started, quickly to review the protocols, we'll remain on mute as we are recording this event. Questions will be asked and will be taken after our presenter presents today. So use the chat function at the bottom, enter your question. If you want to ask it live, we will give you the opportunity to do so as well. Now, to introduce our guest speaker today, so Kiran Mann is the CEO and founder of M2M Business Solutions, a people-centric business consulting and advisory company. With a vision of growing people, growing business, Kiran has provided management and consulting and advisory series on 100 plus projects to more than 60 plus clients. She focuses on executing and measuring specific key strategic initiatives by aligning people to process and technology. Kiran had the opportunity to work with C-suite and leading national and international manufacturing, plastic, logistics, IT, automotive, commercial lighting, construction, and food organizations. Excuse me. She believes that every organization has unique needs to succeed. She encourages her clients to stay laser focused on their moving vision, monitor their business pulse, and align their people and process to their plans for sustainable business growth. Kiran and M2M, Made to Measure, are committed to driving organizations to workplace innovation for market competitiveness, customer experience to make them feel valued, and a happier organizational environment with consistent higher employee satisfaction levels. Everybody, please welcome Kiran.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you. Thank you so much for beautiful words. Thank you to all of you for taking the time and joining us today. And hopefully I'll do the justice to the time you have invested today. The topic is quite large, and I'm going to try to give you at least a few nuggets in the time we have and summarize information, then going into the depth of it. So Stephanie and I talked. Feel free to throw in questions as we are going through piece by piece. And we would like to see if we can answer those questions as we go and still save some time in the very end as well. So let's talk about happy organization and what is it all about. Before knowing about a happy organization, I think you'll have to know a little bit about me, since this has been something that has I would say, put together over the last 24 years and finally has a full shape and being tested for last 2.5 years in different markets and different size of the companies. Anywhere from $2 million to $1 billion is what I've tried so far. So a little bit about me, grew up in a household.
Why is this not working?
Sorry? Stephanie, you can hear me?
I think we're good. No, we're good. Okay.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. Grew up in an Indian Army household. My dad is a retired Indian Army general. So rules and regulations and time management and so on is something that I was probably coached and trained at a very young age. I had a passion of being a fashion designer when I was little. I did not really believe in degrees, and I had a mission that I'm going to be a fashion designer and do bridal stuff, which I actually did. But somehow, sometime we planned something different and do something different. And time came when I actually did go for undergrad, and I did go for postgrad, and I did go for executive MBA, and so on for the studies as the time showed what I was required to do and needed to do depending on the journey I was in. So 24 years ago, I joined automotive after I left my journey with being a fashion designer. And that is what I did for the next 21 years. I worked in the North American market in manufacturing automotive and with the three OEMs, and worked my way from I would say quality to all the way being operations head and being a president of companies around recession time. And that is when I learned a lot of my lessons. When recession came, and we were at the stage that some of the plants in Ontario were being questioned if they needed to be consolidated along with some plants that were in Ohio for Magna production, was the question, what are we going to do different? So when COVID came, it was just going back to the memory lane of what we have seen in the past, and probably was more impactful this time than the time before, but I guess everybody has their different experience. So from that on is when I started to see what can be done within an organization to bring improvements, to stay updated with the constant change and stay updated with the market trends that are coming and all the required internal changes that are required. And one after another is where we compiled some victories. And 4 years ago, I left automotive and started my own company with the mission that why should I just work in one company and share the values that we have accumulated when I can get an opportunity of work with multiple and share the experience that I've gained over the time. So happy organization is an approach, and it was triggered when a lot of business owners and leadership questioned me that, Kiran, there are so many articles that are written about how to improve engagement, yet we all struggle with that. How to make sure you can retain people, and how can you serve customer better and better with all the changes that are coming and expectations are changing. But the biggest point was, how do you exactly create the culture? We talk about we need to have this and that type of culture, but where do you begin? And I think the happy organization seems to be, was seeded from there on to how to develop a culture in the company where everybody is all joining together with a mission to stay tuned with the strategies that and the company goals that we all are working towards. So that's a little background about me. A journey about me, I think, is important because we all are at a point that we all have gone through our journeys, and they do impact our work. I believe that we spend more time at workplaces than at home and with our friends. So it really requires a lot of attention of how we bring those work and home balances. So as an individual, I personally call myself always growing as a person and as a professional. As a mother of 3 girls, I would say every day I just try to be a mother. Every day is something new as they age, and the journey never gets easier. It's just newer stuff. And as a leader, I would say always developing. And I think that's what is required even more in today's world when we're going through constant changes. As a business owner of M2M for last 4 years, I think I may be able to share those thoughts with you guys of how we all have to constantly work towards the changes that we require, and how the alignment has to come on a yearly basis to keep up with the changes that we have in front of us. So if I can request you, we didn't give you a heads up, so apologize for that. If you can grab a pen and a paper and look at these questions and make a quick note. I'll give you guys like 40 seconds or 1 minute, and just think, if you were to think 25 years ago, so say around 1996, what do you think that the businesses were running as, and how was the market moving at that point? How did you feel as a person? What stage of your life you were in? And what was your stage as a professional? So just take a minute, just write it down. I hope this exercise will help you compile together the stuff that we're going to do later on. If anybody is going to be take an initiative and share something with you, we would love to hear that as well. And I will share mine, promise that, right after this.
Oh, Jan, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I've got a similar, I have to go quickly because because of the supply chain issue, we've waited 2 months for a new dishwasher, and it's coming in about 10 minutes, the truck. So then I had to leave. Okay, so yeah, I was very young, and I got it accepted into Ryerson for fashion design because I was in a middle class home, but and I got a kitten here too, so my daughter's kitten. But anyway, what I could actually do, I would sew clothing, very stylish dresses and pantsuits and everything without a pattern. And so they accepted me, and then I had two summers of working in with the government, but I was actually working with companies that were human resources, and I got into that area. So I had sociology and business background for university. So I started in HR. I felt I didn't even know what training and development was at the time, but then I really loved that area. And I won awards, and I just got all my designations and everything and kept going. So I became vice president of HR. Now I'm with boards. I've been on not-for-profit boards and all advisory boards, but also I've worked with very huge international companies, which really got me going, and also American companies, but also Canadian companies. So, and also government. So I'm kind of bigger picture of government, private sector, huge international companies, Canadian companies, American companies like New York Life. I worked with Allianz Global, British Petroleum, and I brought in $53 million on grants for British Petroleum for mining and oil and gas. And I was only 28 at that time. So, but I did schools every decade, and I've completed all of them. The one that was the hardest was to adopt our daughter.
Thank you,
And
Jen.
I got it just before 40.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah. So
Thank
that's
you for
what,
sharing that. You
yeah.
actually highlighted some of the areas that I was hoping that you all feel the way I feel. You know, in those times, we all were aggressively working towards whatever field and path we had chosen.
Yeah.
And the times were different. We didn't know about trainings as much in those times.
Yeah.
Internet and technology wasn't, and forget about being digital in nowadays. So the times have changed over the time, is what we all have experienced. Look, I would say, seeing through my eyes, I would say when I talk about how were the businesses run in those times, I used to feel there were basic technology. I don't even remember having an iPhone. Forget an iPhone, having a phone in those times. There were a few systems. I remember business vision and accounting, no QBO at that time. But they weren't mandatory. You know, business owners had a choice if they wanted to have it. It made life easier, but still people had much more choice, and they were taking more time to react to the newer stuff coming in compared to now, when everything seems like mandatory that it has to happen. The market was moving steady, and I would say quality was the piece that was coming up a lot, and there was a talk in manufacturing about on-time delivery at that time. As a person, I was ready to conquer. I used 25 years ago because I got married in 25, had no kids. I was all about Harley Davidson and cars and adventurous life. And I thought I had conquered because I had become a fashion designer. I wanted to, and was working with the boutique and serving in Switzerland for bridal gowns and evening gowns. So looking back at whatever journey we were 25 years ago and fast forward the day of today, we all have come a long way. Whether we talk about our personal lives, whether we talk about professional lives, whether we talk about our families, or whether we talk about the businesses if we own, and how we have moved up the ladder from whatever positions we were in 25 years ago and now, and how the market has moved. So there has been a shift, not just in the market, it has been all across from us to the world. So now, fast forward 25 years, I am still saying I'm growing. I'm still saying I'm learning. And I'm still saying I'm developing and building everything together, because the world is moving so much, because I don't think so we'll ever come out of that growing phase. We have to keep up with whatever is coming in front of us, and then learn how to keep a balance between our work lives and home lives. So if this is today's life, I would say I would highly encourage you all to keep one thing in mind. End of the day, we are human and we are dealing with human. Our employees are human, our bosses are human, our business owners and leaders are human, and so are suppliers and customers. And if we keep that in mind and look at every situation and every opportunity, it does help you simplify whatever you're working towards. Now, giving it a quick look at what is happening in the market today. When we are talking 25 years, there was hardly any technology and things were easy. I'm sure they looked very difficult in even those times to us, but now it has even gone crazier. So looking at that, what exactly are you experiencing today, which is quite different and didn't exist 25 years ago? Would anybody like to share with us? Anything that you feel 25 years ago, it didn't exist, and now it is one of the critical point that is happening in the market, and everybody needs to put their mind to it. Okay. So
Jody says the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. But remember, we had 10 years ago, we had recession. So feels like every 10 years we're challenged with something. Some are just worse than others. Okay, but surely pandemic is the one that we never expected, and we all still are learning how to deal with it. So looking at that, I've tried to put together a list of the ones that I could think of, and I have personally come across personally and professionally. Like we just said about pandemic, so impact of COVID, how the business environment is constantly changing, and everybody is trying to learn and figure out how to respond to it, but also make the changes to their current sustainable model and be ready for the coming times. Another thing that we are seeing it, some people are quite focused on COVID and may not be paying so much attention to the rest. So please make a note of these things, and I would encourage you to consider that later of which ones really do impact you and your businesses. Millennials, we have a number around 2025 that 75% generation, younger generation, is going to take over the workforce as the baby boomers are leaving the market. That is huge. From two sides. I've mentioned aging population in the middle. So we have two critical things coming up at us. One is how we are still struggling to how to have different generations working in workplaces to work together. But on the other side, we're talking about aging population as they are leaving, how to make sure that the information and the experience is being moved to the following generations and there is no breakdown. It's one of the critical things that businesses are dealing with right now. Competition, this is 25 years ago. If we thought it was crazy, today it is crazier. It's a constant change that we all are dealing with, and we figure out different ways of how to react to our businesses. Industry revolution. We are in the digital world today. We are going into quality revolution. We are going into full-on 4.0 industry revolution. Lot of, I would say, first movers are already in that mode. The second movers are kind of working towards it, and slowly as we go down the chain, everybody's reacting either because they want to be ahead of the game, or they're being asked by their customers, or they feel this is a need. So whatever the reason is for their decision, everybody's reacting based on how they feel it is going to impact them in the coming time. On the other side, we have government and bigger companies really pushing on social change. And how does that impact our businesses and how we have to react, whether it comes from diversity, being eco-friendly and so on, how we have to react, and what are the things we actually must do and not are a choice. And now look at the customers. There was a time I think it was before 25 years ago. It's probably the generation my grandpa used to talk about it, when it was actually the true customer service and exchange. You deliver a product and a service and you get paid against that. The life was simple. People met in person and they did their deals, and there was an exchange. There was quite a loyalty and relationship, and there was a full-on exchange within people and within businesses. From that journey, we have come to customer satisfaction. It moved to customer expectations. It moved to customer experience. And now that customer experience has gone into value-driven, is what the buyers are looking for. So if these are at least, I would say 7 things is the one at least I have mentioned here, and I'm sure there's plenty that are more industry specific and size specific as well, and or your product specific. These 7 are common to all of us, and it is important to understand what are we doing about it, because if it is not impacting us too much today, and we're quite busy with the COVID impact and coming out of it, it is coming fast this decade. According to all the stats we're seeing, all these are going to have an impact on us sooner or later, and it is not going to be a choice, but we will require to react to those according to the requirements we have on our plate. So if that is how our personal lives are going, where we're going crazy and struggling to keep our balances between work and home, by no means I mean to discourage you, just doing a reality check here. And this is what is going in the marketplaces. How do you think everyday life goes on? Like, I've noted down how I have felt in the last 30 years. I always thought, we go to workplaces, we create our schedules. I'm going to do this, and we have our calendars booked if we're really organized. We walk into the plant, we walk into the companies, and we get called. My team needs you, your boss needs you, your customer needs you, your supplier really needs to talk to you, and so on. The stuff that goes on a daily basis, and many times we struggle to do the part that we actually are supposed to do, based on the seats we're sitting on. And the whole day goes by in putting up the fires. So if any one of you resonate with that, I would say this is what I have felt over the years. And the question is, what are we going to do as individuals, as leaders, as business owners? What are we going to do something different so that we come out of this vicious cycle and tomorrow is a different day and not the same day? And this is what I have felt over the last 10 years, I would say, and thought about coming up with solution. And I think my biggest imprint is after work time, sitting with my colleagues and everybody talking about their struggles. You know, my customer got upset today, or I'm so behind in this, or my deliverables are late, or customer just signed up today, but the due date was yesterday, so on. You know, there are a lot of good stuff, but then there are the daily struggles that we all are challenged with. And we talk again in 2 weeks or in a month. And it seems like I used to feel it's a vent out session and not much being done to resolve it. And that's where I started thinking about, what are we going to do different? So when I got the opportunity of leading companies as president or as general manager, I thought about trying something different, bringing together my teams, creating some changes in the culture, giving them more tools and support systems to see if we can come out of this pattern and create a better structure. And over the years, this is the final version that I've come up, and I'm sure this will be tweaked and in the coming years as everything around us continues to change. So the focus of THO, the happy organization, is vision, profitability, and profits. That's end of the day, every business is focused on that. What we are seeing is that the elements that we have created, the culture that THO allows us to put together, is impacting a higher employee satisfaction. It is impacting in achieving higher performance. It is impacting in our market shares expansion. It is impacting with organic growth, and it is impacting the bottom lines. And lastly, not the last, is the customer relationship, because the more tighter your relationships are with the customers, more loyalty you get and more retention of your customers comes up as a result. And this is what we have followed. So is it important or not? According to me, it is. but I would love to hear thoughts. And Stephanie, if there's anything in the chat box, just feel free to jump in and cut me off and share their ideas.
Will do. We do have some, but I think it was from your previous question, so we can move on.
Okay.
We're good. Yeah.
All right. So what is THO, the Happy Organization? It is a formula that is focused on 3 elements: inspired employees. And when I say inspired employees, I do not mean engaged employees or motivational employees. The employees have to reach the level of engagement, then they have to proceed to the level of being motivated before they can turn into an inspired employee. So it's actually at a next level that comes after the employees are engaged and motivated. And that's when they turn into more autopilot, inspired employees, and continuously to do the things they should be doing. So it is a journey of an employee. The second element is focused on innovation, building a workplace innovation. And the focus is to look at your systems, your processes, and how those inspired employees are now ready to look at every process they have around them and bring innovation to it. And when I say innovation, I do not only mean coming up with disruptions that bigger companies are doing. I mean making small changes as well. If your employee is working on an Excel sheet, maybe somebody made a few tweaks and said, oh, I can do this sheet now in 7 minutes instead of 10 minutes. That's a saving of 3 minutes. Let's multiply that by over the year and talk about how much saving that one person just brought by those 3 minutes. Those increment changes and innovations are the ones that are hitting our bottom line in a very positive way. So which is coming from these inspired employees. The third thing is aligning these inspired employees and innovative process, but with customers. How do you take your journey of customers from service to satisfaction to expectations to experience to feel delighted, where they are in their la la land of true Disney, where they trust you. They come and share with you. They do have their expectation, but you and your customer has quite a good alignment of having transparency, open communication, and you're working in partnership in the coming time, which allows you now to have retained customers. It allows you to have customers that are working with you in a longer term, and it allows you to have market expansion as your customers are growing. So these are the 3 pieces. If they are put together, it looks like a very short and sweet approach, but there's a lot of legwork behind each element of how to take your employees to the level of inspiration. How do you take your employees working and looking at every process, not when it is being pushed down from the leadership, but they are doing bottom up by bringing ideas of what they can do in their areas. And then how do you build those relationships with the customers, and which comes by how do you treat your employees is how your employees are going to treat your customers. Compiling all this together is what THO is all about. So doing a quick touch, as I mentioned, given the time, we're going to do a little bit touch on each piece. One of the critical things that I have learned over the years and is working very well is understanding where each of your employee is. What do they feel as of now? And if you are interested, I would be releasing around mid of September an assessment that can be done on journey of employees, how your process structure is currently, and what kind of customer relationships you have. We're doing assessment that we're going to put out on our website, and everybody feel free to use that free assessment and understand and do your own gap analysis at your end. So in looking at the employee journey, the first thing to understand is where do each of your employees stands? Not going as a general statement that, oh my God, my company, my employees are not engaged, or my employees are very engaged, or my people are happy, or they're sad, or they're so frustrated, or I am able to retain my people, or they're just flipping quite often. going from that bigger picture to breaking it down individually. How can you know each one of your employee and how they feel? And that's the level from where we start, by connecting. So I've created this scale model, which is CALE, C for connect, A for ask, L for listen, and E for engage. At the C level, you're connecting with everybody, understanding each individual's personality. How can you now work around those personalities once you know those personalities? Asking them questions, looking at their experiences, what ideas they have, what interests them, what are the goals they have personally. And from there, you listen to the value they're going to bring on board. By the time you have opened up the dialogue of ask with your employees and they feel comfortable sharing and not being judged or not feeling that they're going to get in trouble by opening up the things that management may not want to hear, that is the level of creating a relationship with your employees and connecting with them, where they will be upfront, feel free to share their ideas, whether they're good stuff or the areas where it needs improvement. Very important is that once you have connected and they have shared with you when you asked, that you react to it and then you honor the thought process they have shared. So the L part even becomes more critical of listening to everything they said, understanding which coherence they sit in, what type of individuals they are. Are they the people that are go-getters? Company has all the goodies, they have all the tools, good for me, I'm going to take them all because I am in a mode of going fast, up and up and up. That is what my individual goals are. If the company doesn't have and they have a little bit or they have whatever level they are, it is okay because I'm going to pick on my own the things that are not available and focus on the areas where I see the value working in this company. Then there are the ones that are like not worried about where the company is moving. They're worried about, give me the task, don't change my task, just allow me to repeat that every single day and I am fine and I will deliver the best. And then there are people, fourth, which usually are the ones that struggle, they sometimes are unhappy, they need more motivation, they get frustrated with the gaps in the system, and they're the ones that can bring you more negative energy because they need more support from you. So, and once you understand all those pieces and you have done the C and A, at the L level, you're able to grab so much information from your employees, but you're responding to them. Hey, a week ago, you mentioned about this. I did have a chat with the management and this is what we're going to do. Or we did talk about with the management, but now is not the timing, but we're going to consider this in the following year. What did you do? You connected with them, you asked them, they shared their ideas, you listened to them, you reacted to them, and now they will talk more with you. What did you do? You engaged your people with you. Now they are at a mode that they will connect and they're like every day. I'm at a point that some of my clients, employees would send me messages on WhatsApp. Hey, Kiran, you were talking about floor cleaning. Here's what we did. Here's some pictures for you. Because they're so pumped, they love to do what they have achieved. They love to contribute because they can see a momentum going and there are people that are listening to them and taking their ideas and giving them that respect. Once you have created this scale model, your people have actually gone to the level of engaged. So irrespective of what your journey of employee self-assessment showed, or you can do 360 way of doing an assessment, whatever pace they were in, you can slowly get everybody to reach the level of E, engaged. From sad to this, from frustrated to this, from somebody that just want to leave the company to this, from somebody that is already very engaged to this. Wherever level they were, you can slowly herd them into this level and bring them on by the time you are applying this model. But what is now, so scale model actually, and the step of creating inspired employees become a great input as we're moving towards the next steps of innovation, because their ideas is what is going to develop and result into innovation. So this little model that you see on the left side, please ignore it. I intentionally have blurred it because this is just to give you a feel what innovation really means in a company. How many moving parts are there? So So when we have employees that are at different level of engagement, and now they have to work into improvement activities and continuous improvement or newer innovations or ERP launches or whatever digital stuff that you might be working on. Imagine what is going on in their mind. And don't forget, we talked about personal lives. We talked about their own journey at home, their journey in their own professional life. And now we're doing this. And not them, we all are going through it, even as leadership, we're going through the same piece. If that is all that, just mellow down that whole piece and try to see if you can just focus on 4 pieces that I put together. And the 4 pieces is, instead of getting trapped into the big complex system, which is obviously required by the project managers and the people that are leading the innovation, but as a general level, we can use the scale model to convert into innovative process by 4 ways, in 4 ways. One is top down, where the leadership is initiating innovation project. You could be throwing in money, you could be putting more resources, and you're bringing digital changes or whatever things that leadership is thinking that we are going to do. So it's a strategic initiative. The second is, because you have inspired employees, it's going to be a bottom-up innovation. They are the one that are knocking your door. Knock, knock. I have an idea. Can we try this? Hey, I actually tried it on my own. This is the result I got. Can we apply this? So that is what is happening at the bottom up level. Then the third bucket is where we're talking about more collaborations. Maybe you want to collaborate with even some competitions where you don't see alarmed. Could be something you want to do as a joint venture and hit a further expansion. It could be your suppliers. You're combining together. They want to hit a certain market or certain customers, and so do you. They use your place as a platform to do all the testings in the trial, and you're leveraging through their innovation, their money investment, and their talent. And you do combined force to proceed on an innovation project. The fourth way to bring innovation to your company is collaborating with your customers. Your buyers visit them. You call them. Your customer service picks up the phone. Your contract review opens up that opportunity. As leadership, you have leadership meetings with your customers or customer review. There are so many touch points where you can ask your customer and say, hey, what's going on in your company for next year? What are you guys working on? Or what are the pain points? What will make your day wonderful next year? What can we do? Or what can the market do? Or what can all the suppliers do that, if it was invented, will make it easier for you or allow you to grab more business from the market? Once you do open that door and you show your seriousness, the customers will support you. Oh, you're open and willing to do that? Is that your strategy to move forward? Okay, this is what we're looking for. So why don't you work on that? We'll support you. I have seen so many times where my customers said, I'll pitch in for the testings. We'll throw in that money. Get your suppliers to use their talent and their stuff. And we use your platform to do the trials till that product or service is developed and approved. Combination of all can be put together, and even all 4 can get combined together to work on innovation. So there are so many different combinations of how you can bring human-centric innovation, and which will result in your employee retention. It will help you in going upsurge in your innovation. It will increase your bottom line profit and have a growth in your company. The third one is the customer part. So customers, we talked a little bit already so far, where how the customer expectations have changed over the time. I think 23 years ago when I jumped into auto world, it used to be quality. Given in manufacturing, it was the ISO. So, you got to follow the ISO. And there was a talk that ISO had launched just in time. You got to deliver the customer just in time, not more, no less. And that was important, and quality was important. So when our salespeople are going to the customers, they are obviously talking about price, but they're talking about the quality the buyer is getting from you versus another supplier. They're talking about the delivery times from you versus another. So there was always a 3-piece combination that was being talked about. But now we're talking, the stats you see on the left far down is from March 2021, where we're expecting in the coming 5 years to customer experience to go to almost 46%. So 46% time your buyer is talking about all the touch points that you have with them and how they feel, and not just the buyer, but everybody in their company that is dealing with your company, how everybody is giving a response and adding their value to it to say, do I want to do business with this company or no? That is how it is doing. What happened to the price? What happened to the quality? And what happened to just in time? They didn't go away. They're default. You still got to do that. You just got to do more. So there was a stat which I loved, and I saw it in 2018, and I remembered saying that 2020 something is going to change big time. I never imagined it's going to be COVID, because I thought it was going to be more revolution in the market, which still exists. It may probably got delayed by a year or two because of COVID. So this was the stat that came up in 2018. 42% is customer experience adds to improve customer retention. 33% improves customer satisfaction. You can do more cross-sell and upsell by 32% if you have a really good customer experience with your clients. And 86% of the buyers, they will make a decision of who to work with based on customer experience. So there was a lot of talk about this, that also does the price doesn't mean, because my customers still talk about price. My customer still talks about delivery. They still talk about giving a freebie on logistics and deliveries. No, they all remained. So over the 25 years, things have just progressed and progressed. They did not get off the wagon, just the wagon got heavier and heavier from there to now. So this is how the THO becomes more important of creating a structure in your company that is aligned together to deal with these constant changes. So the value driven, you can again apply the Kale model with the bottom up and see how you treat your employees, to the extent that you give them a system, you give them the tools, you give them the trainings, you repeat the trainings. The common human stat is you got to repeat it. I think it used to be 17 times few years ago, and now I think it has gone to 22 or 23 times. That is how many times we have to repeat to a human for them to retain. So please don't feel bad about all the teenagers you have at home. Repetition is a must. It's a human thing. Then we talked about the top bottom. How can you use that as a strategy to bring value? Where are you thinking about how can I bring my customers more value to develop those relationships where they feel delighted? Collaborating with your customers, collaborating with your suppliers, and keeping in mind that the delighted customer is going to provide you a competitive edge, help you with your market expansion, and you will have happy and loyal customers. And it actually goes both ways. Your happy employees create happy customers, but it's also vice versa. Your happy and loyal customers create even further happy employees. So the THO model, just to reiterate again, it is focused on inspired employees, innovation process, and delighted customers. So the stats that we have on the right side is what we have figured out so far about some of the key areas that are being talked in the market and how it can help them in increasing productivity, improving on their sales with the market expansion, improving on the employee engagement to the level of inspiring actually, and improving organically and the bottom line profits. That is all what the happy organization is about with this approach. So end-to-end, I started this 4 years ago with an approach of working and spreading the word more than one company that I was leading at. And I'm actually happy. My own company, we're a team of 12 people. And we are in a mission of, first of all, installing this happy organization model to ourselves, which we started 4 years ago when I started this company. Over the time, and even though COVID has given us a lot of pain, one of the gain I got out of that is companies had more time, the ones that were focusing on these kind of improvements that had extra time because their work was slow, and they used that as an opportunity to make improvements in their companies and then get ready for after COVID impact. So we got the opportunity to test this theory into different market segments. I think we have done 7 markets so far in different sizes and seen the same thing. So we're in now a mission that how many organizations we can share these ideas where they can apply and convert their companies into more happy culture, which will then bring all the pieces together. And at the end of the day, it is helping you achieve your vision, profits, and bottom line organic growth. So this is what we commit out of THL. We're focused, a company that is focused on growing people, growing business. We are bringing out the best of your people and you. And that is the what part we do in the journey of employee, connecting with them, bringing the best of them, connecting their values to your values. When I say your values, mean your company values, connecting that all picture together, training them, giving them job description. One of the way we do job description, we call it ARAF model. So it talks about accountability of each employee. It talks about the responsibility they have. Then it talks about authority level they have. And then it talks about follow-up. Who's going to follow up on each person? So with that, we take the org chart and literally create a web. One person gets followed up by another to another to another as we move from bottom to up. And so the same thing we apply with their metrics, the KPI systems, the SOAR achievements, the trainings that get combined with the succession plan, and then also human skills. So we typically use 6 areas where we test human skills of employees. And that is a simple assessment that you can do. And it allows you to individually see the person's caliber, their interest, and how far you can go. And it is okay. We don't want every person to go to the level of CEOs. We want people to fit into every level that we have. And that is all people is about. Looking at where they fit in, where they can deliver the best, where they feel passionate about, and where their heart and soul is. Because wherever their mind is, where they will produce the more, and they will deliver good, and they will be happy and like what they're doing for a longer term. So that is more like a theme for utilizing on the people side. Then helping you prosper together, which more comes under the innovation side. And then developing overall as a happy organization culture in your company. This is what you can do at your end. You can transform every customer touch point into an impactful moment of delight. You can enable your workforce on an autopilot. I'm currently working one of my clients that has almost 200 employees, and the floor is getting, I think, 60% done moving towards autopilot. That means 1/3 of the employees now have reached the high level of motivation, moving towards inspiration. And now we're talking about process improvements. We're talking about restructuring things. We're picking ideas from them. And I have a list so long of ideas that people are bringing in that it can become like a 1 to 3 year plan. Another thing, just if I don't miss that, when you engage employees, please always keep in mind that if they bring the ideas, they get answers. We owe them a response of whatever they said. Whether it was something that we can honor the idea they had, or whether it's not feasible and cannot be done or doesn't fit into the company's strategy and goals. Whatever it is, they need to be aware of that so that they can come back to you with more ideas and not stop at that point. And at some point, you have so many beautiful ideas, but there is only so much time and resources you can apply. Allow them to know. Let them know, here's 10 ideas we got. Let's pick all the top 3 that we can work on this year. But your idea will be in the 3rd year or 2nd year or 5th year. But let them know why it is in that priority list. That is very important. Well, we always have to be aware that it is too bad when we don't train our employees. But if it is worst when we train them, or allow them to open them, and then we don't support them. It is very critical. Other thing you can do is develop every process in your company and provide people the tools that they require so that they are always looking for improvement and how they can help and give something better to your customers. Once the whole company is in that mode, then you're working together as a group. And I always also say a company is like a chain. And each individual, each department is a link. If you take out a link, is it going to be a chain anymore? No. So that is how important each person's contribution is to the company. Okay, so I think that's about it. I kind of shared some key points that can be considered. Feel free to look into your own companies and see where you would like to make some improvements, where something can be changed, tweaked. And if you already have a lot of these things, give yourself a pat for doing such an amazing work over the years. So if there's any questions, Stephanie, I'm happy to answer. We still have 8 minutes for a Q&A.
Thank you, Kiran. So if anyone has any questions, they can put in the chat. You can unmute yourself and ask Kiran live. She's pretty open to either option. Does anyone want to ask a question? I know you gave such great information here. Oh, hi, how are you?
Hi, I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to say thank you. That was really good. And
you.
I like the analogy of the chain, because many times in our organization, if that one link is missing, then the chain is, it's broken. So that was excellent. But I learned a lot, and I wanted to say thank you. And I do have another meeting at 11 I have to go to, but I really enjoyed that today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your.
And you have yourself a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And we are recording this, and the link will be available on our site in the coming days. I'll leave it open again for anyone else who would like to come on, ask a question. The floor is open. No, we're good.
Did we leave everybody into a lot of thoughts, or?
I think so, Karen. I think so. Well, I want to say thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Karen, for being our guest today and for sponsoring this event. If anybody wants to connect with Kiran, let me know. I can. Her email address is here. I can also provide you with her contact information as well. So I'll ask one more time. Any questions, comments? Great presentation. Thank you, Colin. All right, everyone. You have a great day today. Again, thank you, Kiran, for joining us. We look forward to seeing everyone soon. I do quickly just want to mention that our nominations are still open for any awards. They do close on August 31st, so you can nominate yourself or another company in 11 categories. So visit our site, mbot.com/awards. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your day today.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Take care.